Welcome to the Sunday morning show. And if this is your first time of listening to the show, I don't have my bell of blessings this morning. I don't know, but it's fine. Welcome to the show. We're going to be diving into a conversation proper this Sunday morning. And like I said before we went on that break, listen, God has brought you thus far to the last quarter of 2024. You deserve some praise, right? Good. He's brought you to see the last quarter of the year 2024. This is the first Sunday of the last quarter of the year 2024. So we have just about 11 weeks thereabout to the end of the year. Before you know now, the year is over. We are saying Happy New Year 2025. But the interesting thing about it is that the year has not ended. In fact, this is the time of the year that some people make the most money. This is the time of the year that some people do the things they've not done since the beginning of the year. I tell you, it seems like it's the last minute, but God is a specialist in the last minute miracles. In fact, to God, it's not a miracle, it's a normal thing. Now, to you, it will be a miracle. You are the one expecting it and seeing it as a grandiose thing, a big thing. To God, it's simple, it's nothing. It's nothing. That's the interesting part of this. Are you getting me this morning? So we're going to be talking on what I choose to call the grace of God at work as you approach the end of the year. Because I need us to understand that the year may seem like it's ending, but for you, the year may just be starting. You may have struggled since the beginning of the year, to make things happen for yourself, to get sales in your business. But then, we worship a God that can do the unthinkable, even if it looks like 9 minutes. I mean, for football lovers, we saw Arsenal, get 2 goals in 9 minutes some days ago. Unbelievable. I mean, everyone thought it was going to be a draw. And 90-something minutes, they scored 2 goals. That is a possibility in your own life. I'm not saying you should be lazy and not do anything and just wait around till the 9 minutes. But I'm telling you that if you have been working hard, if you've been trying your best, if you've been putting your best foot forward, giving your best shot to everything God gives you the opportunity to do, God is not unfaithful. He's going to bring to pass His word in your life. He's a diligent God. He doesn't do mago. He doesn't. So you may feel like life is passing you by. You may feel like others are getting breakthroughs. You may feel like things are working for other people and they aren't working for you. So January is past, February came and passed, March came and passed, April, May, June, July, August, and then September. The ember months are passing. God, what is happening? Am I a bench? Am I a wood? Am I a spoon? Why are things not working well for me? Because if everybody is complaining about the economy, this economy, that, but some people are still getting it. Some people are still making things work for them. So it may not just be the economy. You may be thinking it may just be you. But I've come to announce to you today that God hasn't forgotten you. God hasn't forgotten you. In fact, you are the center of His will. You are the center of His plans. So you're a wife. You did an elaborate wedding, beautiful wedding. People admired the grandeur, the beauty of the wedding. But month 1 passed, you didn't have a child. I mean, you didn't get pregnant. Month 6, year 1, year 2. Until I'm speaking this moment, you are still expecting a child. I've come here to announce to you that it's not over yet for you. Is somebody listening to me this morning? It's not over. It's not over. It isn't. Or you are that person who, you're a graduate, you've been out of school for a while, for months and even years. You've been applying or even taking interviews, and it seems like nothing is working. You're not getting anything. If at all you get a job where they want to pay you 20,000 naira, which is not even enough for transport fare, talk less of feeding, not to talk of have something to keep in the house. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I understand how some of us feel this morning. Now, why is my case different? He put on the radio this morning and he could hear testimonies of people who God came through for them over and over and over in different situations. And you're wondering what is happening. Why is my case different? Or you may be that person who, in your own, that nobody needs to tell you that you're a beautiful woman. And then you have a good character on top. Yet, it seems like the men are running away from you. I've come to tell you this morning that the grace of God is still at work in you. And the God of the last minute miracles is still working. And it's not a lost cause for you. Or you're perhaps a student, you're done with your secondary school and you've been trusting God for admission and it's not pulling through. I mean, we have stories, I don't know about nowadays, but in our days then you have people who stay home for 5, 6 years trying to gain admission into school. Or you are even waiting for visa. You've done all you can. You put in all the money. You've done this and done that. And it doesn't seem like your jackpot plans are working. Because it's okay to jackpot if you want jackpot. I mean, I'm not going to stop anybody. And you feel discouraged because you're not getting immediate results. In fact, you feel more discouraged because you've waited, you've trusted, you've hoped, you have faith. And it seems like nothing isn't working yet. And then 2024, you started 2024 with high hopes, thinking that, this year, there's going to be a difference in my life. I go hammer that hammer. I go blow that blow. Let me tell you something that you need to understand. God's grace doesn't operate on human timetables. Listen to that again. God's grace does not operate on human timetables. He can bring last-minute miracles, last-minute breakthroughs, last-minute provisions, last-minute anything, blessings. And it's going to be worth every second that you've waited for it. But let's see what the Bible has to say about this. Let's check out the book of Matthew, chapter number 20. And I'm sure that's a popular parable that a lot of us know. The parable of the vineyard workers. Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 to 16. Let's read it together. We'll just run through it and, just share some points this morning so that you can understand that God is concerned about you and you shouldn't lose hope yet. Okay? I'm reading from the New Living Translation and it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like the landowner who went out early one morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay the normal daily wage and he sent them out to work. At 9 o'clock in the morning, he was passing through the marketplace and saw some people standing around doing nothing. So he hired them, telling them he would pay them whatever was right at the end of the day. So they went to work in the vineyard. At noon again, at 3 p.m. again, he did the same thing." Verse 6, "At 5 p.m. that afternoon, he was in town again and saw more people standing around. He asked them, 'Why haven't you been working today?' Verse 7, they replied, 'Because no one hired us.' The landowner told them, 'Then go out and join the others in my vineyard.' Verse 8, that evening he told the foreman to call the workers in and pay them, beginning with the last workers first. When those hired at 5 o'clock were paid, each received a full day's wage. When those hired first come to get their pay, they assumed they would be paid more, but they too were paid a day's wage. When they received their pay, they protested to the owner, 'Those people worked only 1 hour, and yet you paid them just as much as you paid us who worked all day in the scorching heat.' Verse 13, he answered them, he said, 'Friend, I haven't been unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work all day for the usual wage? Take your money and go. I wanted to pay the last worker the same as you. Is this against the law for me to do what I want to do with my money? Should you be jealous because I'm kind to others?' Verse 16, so those who are last now will be first then, and those who are first now will be last." Thank you, Lord. And I pray for you this morning as you listen, that God opens your eyes, opens your ears, opens your hearts, so you can see, hear, and understand what God is saying to you this morning, and be able to move forward in your journey with God. So I said earlier that God doesn't operate the human timetable. He doesn't. And this story exemplifies what I'm trying to say. So the landowner is likened to God, and then he had work to do. He had his vineyard. He needed people to work on his vineyard, and he went out at different times: 9 a.m., 12 o'clock, 3 p.m., and also 5. And interestingly, at the end of the day, he paid each of them the same amount, irrespective of how much time they worked. So think about it for a second. Now you don't even have a work yet. You don't have a job yet. You don't have a child yet. You don't have a husband yet. You've not gotten the visa yet. You've not gotten the admission yet. It just seems like you are waiting. But see what happened here. Even though he got those ones at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., he paid them the same amount that he paid those that started work at 9 o'clock. Can you see that? He paid them the same amount that he paid those that started at 9 a.m. So God's blessing comes from his love for you, not from your labor. Because if it's from your labor, if it's from the quality of work that you've done in your life, you're supposed to be a billionaire in dollars by now, and you know that. So your labor is not what gives you what you have. It's God's love. It's God's love. So even though it seems like your 2024 has come to an end, or is coming to an end, things can still turn around for you. You can still get a miracle that you never thought was possible, especially because the year seems gone. Some companies are planning to just end the year already, so it seems like everything is gone. But your own money may just start rolling in from this October. I'm telling you. But let me take your mind to some part of this passage that is critical. Verse 6, he said, at 5 o'clock that afternoon, the landowner was in town again. This landowner already had people working on his vineyard. He didn't have any business going to employ people again. But he says he saw more people standing around, and he asked them, why haven't you been working all day? Guess their response. They said, because no one hired us. Meaning they were expectant. They were staying in a position they could be seen. They were ready to work. They were giving the best they could based on the resources they had at their disposal. They were standing and waiting. And when they saw the opportunity, they said, no one has hired us. And then the landowner hired them. This is at the close of business. I mean, in today's world, you say you work maybe from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Right? And 5 o'clock, everybody is closing shop and going home, and but that is when these guys' miracles happened. The same time that people are closing from work is the same time that God blessed them with work. Again, at the beginning I said something. God's grace does not operate on human timetables. God's grace operates on God's timetable, and it can bring a last-minute breakthrough in your life. It doesn't matter if you did not make 1 naira from January to December. From January to September 31st. October has come and your story can turn around, and the person who knew you in January or even knew you in September and already knows that nothing good can come out of this year for this person anymore. The person can see you at the end of December and not be able to recognize you, because the God who brings last-minute miracles has done something different in your life. So these guys did not shut down just because the month was coming to an end or the day was coming to an end. They kept on waiting and expecting. So yes, it may not look like anything is working for you, but you have to keep on waiting, trusting, and doing your own part of the job. And guess what? Even though at the end of the day, they succeeded in working for just 1 hour. They got the results, they got the reward, they got the payment of someone who had worked all day. And of course, those that have been working since morning will complain. Now, if you're in their shoes, you wonder, why will you pay us the same amount? Why would you pay us the same amount? I've worked for 8 hours, 9 hours, and this person is just coming. He's just doing his work, and he's and you're paying him the same amount. What kind of person are you? But look at what the landowner said. He said, "Friend, I haven't been unfair to you." That's verse 13. "Did you not agree to work the whole day for the same amount? Take your money and go. Is it against the law for me to do with my money what I want to do with it? Should you be jealous because I'm kind to others?" Kaya. So the key word there is kind. So meaning that the money those that started work at 5 p.m. were paid was not the money for the work they did. It was the result, the reward of the kindness of the landowner. So the money you're going to make, the victory you're going to receive, the blessings you're going to receive is not a function of the work you've put in from January to September. It's a function of the kindness of God to you. It's a function of the kindness of God to you. So God can choose to be merciful unto you, no matter how little the work you've put in is. I like my Yoruba people. The way they pray, Ishe kekere, owonla. In the past, I would wonder, what kind of prayer is that? Why are you trying to get money that you did not work for? But I understand that is the way God can be. That's the way God can be. Your enemies can do the work and you be reaping the harvest. Yes. You can buy a plot of land, and everything, and then you realize that there's gold on that plot of land. You did not put the gold there. You only bought a plot of land. Do you understand me, somebody? I heard the story of and it's a popular story. I think it's a Nightingale story or something, of the person who was stealing the land, and nothing was coming out of it. He was looking for gold, nothing was coming out, and he got tired. And what did he do? He sold off the gold and went to another place to buy land, trusting that maybe when he goes to the next one, he will till the land, he will try and mine, and he will find gold. And he sold the land very cheaply. Of course, the person who bought the land at a cheap amount would not think that there is anything to benefit from the land, especially because someone had been there mining for decades and nothing came out of it. So he's just buying it and not thinking that anything is going to come out of it. Alas, he got the land, he did further mining, and then he got gold. So don't stop because you are tired. Don't stop because it isn't working. Stop only when you are finished. And you are not finished until you've gotten the result for the work you've been doing. Is somebody with me this morning? Verse 16 says that, and the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. So it doesn't matter. I've come to tell you this morning, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Trust God that you can still do something with year 2020 and 2024. Trust God that something can still happen in year 2024. I tell you, I have a personal story about that. It was a particular year, things seemed like they weren't working. Nothing was working, in fact. And then January, February, March, May, June. And just like this season, this October came that year, and it seemed like, no, I've been doing the biggest works in the beginning of January, because God came through and everything fell in place. Everything. So I want you to go and read this book of Matthew chapter number 20. Read the entire verse, the entire story, the parable there, and read it over and over and over and over again until it seeps into your subconscious, until you understand that it is not your work, it is not your labor that is giving you what you want, that is giving you what you need. It's the grace of God. And that grace of God is still active in your life. It may seem quiet today. It may seem silent today. It may seem like nothing is working today. But God doesn't sleep nor slumber. He's waiting for the right time. So just like the landowner had gone out 7, 9, 12, 3 p.m. He's gotten people. He still went out again 5 p.m. So you have to stand on your watch, because God is going to come through for you. He's going to come through for you. And you shouldn't get to where He's expecting you to be and you've gone because you were tired of waiting for God. Do you understand me this morning? If somebody listening to me this morning, it doesn't matter. The timing of God's call. I'm going to share just a few points in a few minutes, maybe just about 5 minutes, and we'll bring this to an end. The timing of God's call. The timing. That's number one. God comes to different people at different times in their lives. So some of us may receive it early. You may receive yours early. Things may start working for you. You are 20 and you're already cashing out. You're already making it. Everything seems working for you. It does not mean the person who is 20 and nothing is working for is a failure. No, failure is not a person. Failure is an event. Failure only becomes a person when you personalize it. So you aren't a failure. So you see your 20-year-old mates doing things and you are not doing things, and you're wondering if you are not a failure. I've come to announce it to you. Or you are 40 already and it still doesn't seem like things are working for you. Oga, you are still not failed. I'm telling you that I know that. I know that. I know. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter these things. The moment you start to calculate your life based on the calendar, the timing, the 12 months, the 1 year, you are shortchanging God. I know what? God is such a patient God. He will just be looking at you. He won't talk. He won't talk. So you have no control over God's timing. You have no control. Your only job is to be waiting patiently. Be there when He calls. Be on your watch so that you do not miss the opportunity when it presents itself. Number two, God is fair. God's grace is fair. Because in the evening when the vineyard owner called to his foreman, he said, call them and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones. So even though you are coming last, you are receiving first. Hiya. Are you listening to me, somebody? You may seem like the last person on the queue, but you are receiving your own blessings first. I mean, I studied computer science. I'm an IT person, right? And then there is this IT phrase called last in, first out, LIFO. We use it in algorithms. Last in, first out. It's used in stacks, you know. The last process to get into the stack will be the first one to be processed. It will be the first one to come out of the stack. Do you understand? God's blessing comes from His love, not from your labor. Number three, your response to God's grace. Your response to God's grace. Your response to God's grace. Because I do not want you to be like those guys, the first workers, the ones that started earlier in the day, who when they got the results of the work they've done, the reward of the work they've done, they went by complaining. They were complaining that, oh, you did this, you did that. They complained because they thought they deserved more. And the challenge is, many a times we compare ourselves, compare our lives to others' lives, questioning why they receive certain blessings we feel we've worked harder for. You are in a place of work and you are putting in the best shot. You are doing all you can, and it seems like each time there's a promotion, your boss just bypasses you and gets someone else. Complaining is not the right way to go about it. Because if you check out the other workers, the ones who started work earlier, the ones who did the most work, they went by complaining. And what did the landowner say? What did he say to them? He said, friend, meaning they're not even enemies. He didn't even call them workers. He called them friend. There's now a level of relationship. That is what you are to God. He has a relationship with you. So you are not out of his plan. You are not out of his mind. He knows about your struggles. He knows what you are going through. He knows that you've been putting in the best. And he went ahead to say, I've not been unfair to you. I haven't. I've really been fair to you. So don't go around complaining. Any small thing, you complain. Each time you complain, it shows the reflection is a reflection of the state of your mind. Someone who is a grateful person, someone who has gratitude at the core of his heart, doesn't go around complaining. He thanks God for the little he has. He thanks God for every opportunity. He thanks God for every person that offers any little opportunity to him or her. Complaining blocks the joy of God's provision, because actually you have something working. You're the one that thinks that thing is too small, and that's why you're complaining. You think it is too small because you're complaining, comparing it to Mr. A's own that looks big to you, or Mr. B's own that looks big to you, forgetting that God is the masterminder of all. And he said in his word that he's not unfair. He's a just God. He's a just God. He's a just God. So say you as a young lady, you've been in a relationship for years, and marriage still didn't work for you. I mean, I heard the story of a lady who's been in a relationship for about 7 years, and at the end of the day, the guy still left her. And she was really mad at God. Now, why me? Because someone else started a relationship few months before then, and got into marriage. And the person is celebrating 7 years of being married, while she is celebrating the loss of a 7 years relationship. Rather than grumbling, trust God that your latter will be better than your former. And I need to close this now in a few seconds, right? Number 4, the sovereignty of God's will. The sovereignty of God's will. We need to learn how to accept that God is sovereign. He is wise. He knows what he's doing. If he's letting you experience this, it's because he knows he's sovereign. He knows what he's doing. Verse 13, it says, but he answered one of them and said, friend, I'm not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for this particular amount? Take your pay and go. Take your pay and go. Don't complain. Accept that God is sovereign and you can't question him. Yoruba say Kabiyesi, meaning no one can question you. The person that will question you doesn't exist. So God is sovereign over all. Accept his sovereignty. Trust that your case will not be. Do you understand? You won't just come to this world, roll by and go back, and there will be no significant difference. No, your case will be different. God's will is perfect, even if you don't understand it. So he can bless somebody early in life, he can bless another person at the middle of his life, and he can bless someone else late in life, because he's sovereign. He's sovereign. He's sovereign. Many years ago, I posted something on Facebook that year. I said, there's nothing you can do, say, today to God that will make for him do today for you what he intends to do for you tomorrow. I'm telling you. So don't let societal pressure get to you. Don't let others set milestone. Oh, at age 20 you must have been this. At age 30 you must have done this. At age 40 you must have done this. At age 50 you should be this. At age 60, calm down. Who put that timetable? Why are you running with someone else's wristwatch? Someone else's time clock? Someone else's stopwatch? No, don't do that. Don't do that. And lastly, the assurance of God's reward. The assurance of God's reward. He says in the last verse 16, that so the last will be the first, and the first will be the last. Jesus wrapped up that parable by declaring that the first will be the last and the last the first, letting us know that God's grace doesn't follow human logic, because it is human logic that will say, okay, now this one first start, now this one gonna go first pay. That's not God. Remember, I told you that God is sovereign and you can't actually question him. So you need to trust God regardless. You need to trust God regardless. That your own blessing will come, that your favor will come, and you will receive your reward irrespective of when it does come. So you have to be patiently waiting and trusting and waiting and trusting and waiting and trusting. God will never fail to reward his people, his children. Whether late or early, now you think say late. In the grand scheme of things, in the eyes of God, it's not late, it's the right time for you. It's the right time for you. The reason you are so worried is because you are comparing your life to someone else's life. You're comparing your existence to someone else's existence. So think about that one time that you almost gave up. Maybe on the job, maybe in a relationship, maybe in school, maybe in business, maybe in your health. And it seemed like there was no way out. And somehow, something happened and things turned around. Somehow, things turned around. 2024 has now ended. Has 3 more months. And somehow, things can turn around for you. Even in the darkest hour, God will still show up and light up your path. To round this up, God's timing is completely different from ours. And his grace is available to everyone, whether early or late. Whether early or late. So I call you to have faith and be patient and keep doing your work. Be like that worker that was still holding on, hanging around, trusting God for a miracle at 5 p.m. Because Isaiah chapter number 40 and 31 says that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. And I was in an interview of a lady recently that I saw who said she started out a business or a particular work, and for first 8 years that she's been doing it, it seemed like things were getting from fry pan to fire. Things were not working for her, but she kept on doing it, kept on doing it, kept on doing it. But I looked at this lady and I knew, it was an interview I did, that you don't look like what you are saying. And then she went on to say, in this 2024, she's made 80% more than she made in the first 8 years put together. Higher. 80% more than she made in the first 8 years put together. Imagine she had stopped because it seemed like she wasn't making enough. Imagine she stopped the business, stopped the work because she thought things were not working for her. But she kept at it. And 2024 came. And in the first 9 months of 2024, she's made 80% more. And the year has not finished though. Is somebody getting me this morning? Or is it the miracle of someone who has been applying to, travel out to make things better and everything for 25 whole years, and it seemed like it is never going to work. He had to just keep on doing his life. But guess what? He never stopped trying. Haven't done that for 25 whole years. At almost 50, he got a call that everything he wanted has been granted. After 25 years of trying, 25 whole years. How many of you can do that? How many of us can do that? See, don't stop trying. Don't stop living your life. Your miracle will come. It may look late to you, but it will surely come. Wait. Though it tarries, it will definitely come. But don't stop walking. Don't stop trusting. Don't stop having faith. The vineyard owner was able to find workers because they were still out at the close of business, trusting, hoping that God will still come through for them. And that same God that came through for these people I've talked about in the Bible, for the lady who made 80% more, for the man who was almost 50 and then is getting his visa, that same God will come through for you because he isn't done with you. And your latter shall be greater than your former. In Jesus' name. Amen.